Tate is Magashule from the African Congress for Transformation. Welcome to Progressive Independent Talk Radio TV. You have been on the ground campaigning. You've done the groundwork and the results have started coming in. And so far, how does it look for you and your party?
We have campaigned. We crisscrossed the whole country. Because of resources, we could not go too far to other areas like Limpopo. The results don't reflect our work. It's not just about our work. The results are corrupted because I can assure you we have collected information, real live data of what's happening on the ground. The votes we are getting are not captured as the number of votes we have won. Sometimes the IEC give us the result slips, and then when they enter here, they report something else, not what they have given in terms of the signed result slips. So there is a lot of irregularities and acts of fraud, consciously and deliberately, by some of the presiding officers and some leaders of political parties, which maybe I should not mention here. We have given the information to the IEC about, we have lodged our objections and complaints, and we hope the IEC won't see us as spoilers, and South Africans won't see us as spoilers. They will see us as a party which wants free and fair elections.
So you just indicated that according to your party, you feel that the results that are reflected here on the leaderboard and on the records, the IEC records, are not as accurate as they were captured on the ground. Who do you think played a role in changing those results? And do you have any voting stations where you know for sure, according to the reports you got from your party agents, where there is a difference between what was recorded in the voting station or as per the result slip at the time and what is recorded on the IEC? Maybe when you're dealing with that, also indicate which voting stations.
We have done so because there are many of the stations, especially in the Free State. I can tell you where they give us two votes in a voting station where we have huge support of the entire community. They give us 2 votes. My son and the team of ACT voted in 4 ways. The station where they voted is 0. There were 4 of them. Where they voted, ACT received 0. And these are ACT staff. And deliberately we said go and vote there because you stay around 4 ways. That's a simple thing. It's not something fake. It's not something created. It's a life story. In Sasolburg, the presiding officer there, we have videos. One of our guys went there, took the video and found the presiding officer in the office with ballot papers, writing the ballot papers, and the presiding officer was confronted. She had to run away from the office to another next office in a place called Excelsior in the Free State, where we have absolute 98% of the entire community act. The boxes were empty. The boxes were empty.
It sounds
the ballot papers are nowhere to be found.
It sounds
but the results are here.
It sounds interesting that there is you allegedly have some evidence of a presiding officer or an IEC official who was caught marking ballots. Which voting station was that? Do you have the details or the identity of that IEC official?
This is the overall manager.
Oh, okay, the regional manager
of Sasolbeck, the town.
Okay. So, have you complained? Have you lodged an official complaint with the IEC? Do you know how far are they?
We have lodged. The deadline was 9 o'clock. That's when you lodge all the complaints. We have lodged a lot of complaints. The family of Mr. Kumalo here voted in Bramfisher. In a VD there, 8 family members. All 8 family members, the results in that voting station is 0. I'm not talking about other voters who are ex-members, ex-supporters. His family of 8 is 0 where they voted. Does that make sense? This is not the only station. I'm citing a lot of stations in the Free State. So you can't drop us daylight.
Maybe it sounds so interesting, and why I'm thinking or why I am saying it's sounding so interesting, because you have been the ANC Secretary General and as the ruling party. Is this something that you have been doing in the ruling party? Or was part of the culture?
This time around, the ANC knew that they are getting out. You must just go and see the results even in Soweto. When they capture the results, it's 65. When they put it out, it's 600 and something. Freedom Front has lodged a complaint. We have met them. ARA has lodged a complaint. They even want to go further for an interdict. MK has lodged a complaint. UDM has lodged complaints. All parties in the Western Cape, with the exception of DA, all parties have called for a recount. If they can recount the Free State and the Vaal and Tshwane and Soweto, yeah, you'll then know, these results are something else this time around. And if this rigging has happened in the past, this time around, the eyes of South Africans, the eyes of political parties were wide open.
So maybe if I may just follow up on that, are you then saying the rigging was not there in the past, but it's something that seemed to have just started now? Is that what you're saying?
Let me talk about the now here, so that I don't get into the past and you say you did not report crime and therefore you are charged with oversight, like I'm charged with oversight in the Free State because I did not report crime. I don't know which crime, which I did not see.
Okay, so let's go back to the formation of ACT and contesting for these elections. I want to believe you have a manifesto. What are the key priority areas in your manifesto?
Of course, if you read our T-shirt, the back of our T-shirt, you find we act against education exclusion. So it means education is very, very key. It's a priority number 1, because through education, you can take your father, your mother, your brother out of shacks. You can take them out of poverty. When you spend money in education, you can't touch it, you can't feel it. But that's what any country which has been successful in the world has done. In Africa, the Zimbabweans did it during Mugabe's time. Rwanda has done it very well. And Rwanda even sent a lot of Rwandans to South Africa here for administration, Wits University, everywhere. You go back there, you go and see what the Rwandans have done with education. So priority number 1, education. Number 2, we act against economic exclusion. This is where we We vibrate together with EFF, we vibrate together with MK, because 62 million population of South Africa, 58 black people, 56 black Africans, 4.5 million white. The economy is in their hands, property is in their hands, the land is in their hands, everything, better life is in their hands. So, economic empowerment, us participating and being the owners of the economy of South Africa as the majority indigenous people of this country is our priority number 2. And we talk about another priority, land and jobs, because it goes together. We are saying, and with our experience in government, we were in government, I've been there for 28 years. So with that experience, we must give our people land. We must put services, water, electricity, roads, everything. Once we give them land and we let them, they will build their own. We must give them jobs.
Okay, I think I must thank you for highlighting those priority areas of your manifesto. South Africa is...
But the last one, which is very key in our manifesto, is a better life for all, which the ANC has been talking about for many years. So better life means you never see sewerage spillage in a white suburb. You never see water shedding in a white suburb. You never see Apollo lights, high-rise mosque. You only see that in the township. Yeah. And I know, in terms of the research we have done, they affect your eyes, that light of the Apollo. You don't see it in any white suburb.
Very true.
You never see, I've said, when I was premier, at least somebody who was white who could actually clean my office and make tea for me. You never see a white person cleaning toilets.
It's so interesting that you raised that, and I get to remember that, you know, in those setups, you know, when you've got external lights in your house, your neighbor will come to complain to say your lights are shining too bright. So that is one interesting point that you are making here. You may proceed.
Yeah, you never see a person with white color, be it at municipal level, where we are leaders and governing. You never see a person with white skin cleaning toilets. Yeah. You never see a white skin cleaning toilets across the world at airports. Yeah. What is this that black color has done? Is it because we don't feel that we are important? We are superior. We are human beings. We belong to one human race. So there is no consciousness. Black consciousness has happened, but I think we are confronted with mental consciousness. And that's where we want to focus on and give our young people that mental consciousness. The mind is something very powerful. It can take you out of poverty.
Just before I move to my next question, but you just raised something very important, and I'm so sorry, I'll have to also refer to where you come from. I think both me and you can agree you cannot erase history. You have been in the African National Congress. You have been part of those that are in power or in governance. So where did you fail when you were there, or where do you think the organization failed in that regard, in terms of making sure that there are better services for everyone?
When we were there, we did far better. I always say, let's go back to Mandela's era, reconciled us black and white. Let's go to Mbeki's era, African Renaissance, connecting Africa, because we are not on our own. We are part of Africa, the continent. We are far from Europe. We are far from US. We are Africans. We belong to the continent called Africa. I've never heard somebody talking about white foreigners in South Africa. The Sotho people in the Free State are 83%. There is Lesotho artificial border, married and all that, the same language. If you are in Fiesberg, when you leave out of this door, you are in Lesotho, and you say these people are foreigners in the continent of Africa. And if they close the water, you don't have water in South Africa, especially you Gauteng. So Mozambique is giving you, augmenting your electricity.
Yes.
So if you say, talk about people who are illegal immigrants and all that, but don't talk about Africans and you hate Africans when you are part of the African continent. You know, the African continent can do a lot of things and they can block everything from you. It's a billion, and that's why I think wonderful Jacob Zuma did was to bring BRICS together with Africa and Iran, half the population of the world. The economy was now going to come to us. There's no country in the world where the indigenous people of the country don't own the means of production. They don't control the economy. It's only South Africa, where we are 58 million, the whites are 4.5 million. You can't even produce bread in Soweto. You have to wait for what? For Albany? Where is the mental consciousness? And that's what we want to pound and pound and pound and pound, so that our people might take time. But when I was in the ANC, that's what I was trying to say. The ANC did a lot, and come 2017, all the ANC resolutions were not implemented. Nationalization of the Reserve Bank. It was not my decision.
It was the conference.
No privatization of state-owned enterprises. I say no retrenchments. Behind closed doors, me and Comrade Jesse, the late, may his soul rest in peace, we are against privatization. They call it PPP of SAA. NUMSA will tell you, SACP will tell you, COSAT will tell you. We then agreed, and when we thought we have agreed, SAA, they even tried to buy it with how much the retrenchments happened, and we were agreed behind closed doors. And so when they did not do all these things, I couldn't come out and say, some of us here in the ANC, we disagree with what is actually happening. When did hunger, famine, let me not even call it hunger, famine start since the president now and the leadership took over from 2017? When did the middle class, so-called black middle class, collapse? When did people's houses and cars were repossessed? During this era. Go back to the era of Zuma, Mbeki. Black people were thriving. There was black excellence. Come 2017, the ANC, of which I was part of, in the ANC you are defeated by majority, deployed, the Raider, and they say the Raider is one of the best.
Were you not part of that decision because you were in the top seats?
But I disagreed. No, there was a deployment committee chaired by the deputy president, of which my deputy was facilitating meetings of the deployment committee. I was focusing on certain other things. But when they reported to us that they are now deploying this director, we said, no, it can't happen. But the minister went ahead.
I'm tempted to ask a very controversial question on that. Are you able to disclose who in that top executive of the African National Congress agreed to the deployment of the Raider? And who disagreed to that?
No, I can't tell you who disagreed. But I can tell you that the deputy president was chairing the deployment committee.
Did he agree?
It means it happened. If I'm chair, if I chair the meeting, my brother, and a wrong decision happens, I will take charge. I will say, no, it can't happen. So black excellence was replaced with so-called white supremacy. And that's what has happened. You guys complain about Hlahudi with no metrics. Nobody complained about somebody who went to SAA.
Who's that somebody?
Hlahudi Musweni?
No, I mean the SAA person?
The white chap who was acting CEO with metric.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody says Steenhuisen is matricless. Malema says
Steenhuisen is not in government.
matricless.
not
It's
in
fine.
government.
No, I'm saying. But you say it's matricless. You say it's in government. But you say Zuma is standard 3. Zuma doesn't know. An organic intellectual. Walter Sisulu had standard 3. Moses Kotane has standard 3. The best recognized leaders in the world. Yeah? Take somebody probably with a certification, doctorate, master certification. I'm not calling it education because there's a difference between certification and education. Jacob Zuma is part of that education.
Yes.
He's educated, he's not certificated. He's an organic intellectual. He learned, he understands Marxism. He can talk about dialects. Can somebody who has done doctorate understand the dialectical materialism? What comes first, matter or all those things? But talk to Jacob Zuma one day and talk to Walter Sisulu, who, by the way, was the mentor to Nelson Mandela with standard 3. So education is something else, certification is something else.
In your response, you a little bit touched on the foreign policy and the influx of people into South Africa, whether legally or illegally. I want us to look at the two. What is your view on the current foreign policy, the current South African foreign policy, and as ACT, are you happy with that, or are there some areas where you think need to be changed? And your view also on the influx of illegal and legal
if you are
into South
government,
Africa.
if you are government, you don't complain. And the ANC majority party, you make laws. You don't go and complain that people are entering the country. You make laws and you implement the laws you have made. Every country in the world is faced with migration. It's not a South African phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon. So any government must implement and follow the law.
But are you happy with the current foreign policy, South African foreign policy? And if not happy, which areas do you think need to be changed?
No, I think the foreign policies are excellent. And from time to time, material conditions. Remember, I'm a Marxist. And Marxist says material conditions determine the pace of struggle. What happened yesterday might not actually be the same today. And there are no contradictions. They call it negation of negation in Marxist terms. And there are no contradictions. So today things might be this way, the next day they are this way, because things happen in the world. There is nothing static. The world is dynamic, it moves on. Politics is like that. The laws are like that. Because human beings are human beings all the time, they are on the move.
South Africa has been in democracy for 30 years now. And what do you think are the successes of the current government or of South African democracy? And what do you think should have been done better? And going forward, whoever becomes the ruling party or whatever coalition that rules South Africa tomorrow, what do you think need to be done to advance the lives of South Africans?
You know, one day I'll have time and talk to you about. I so wish that Oliver Tambo was the first president of South Africa.
When are you available for that? We'll
I will be available for that, because Oliver Tambo understood the world. For more than 50 years, Oliver Tambo was the leader of the ANC, inside and outside, traveling the whole globe, understanding. Nelson Mandela was in prison. He did not understand what is happening in the world. And what they did, they took Mandela, put him in a cell, they visited him all the time. Right, Oliver Tambo, injured stroke. That stroke was not just an illness. It's an injured stroke.
Man-made.
Yes. What happened to Cresani? So deal with these people who might actually change the lives of a black man, of an African child. Do away with them. And what happened? Somebody who was there during those negotiations, and when Mandela did not make Cyril Ramaphosa the deputy president, he was supposed to be Minister of Finance or Foreign Affairs. He said no. What did he do? He resigned as Secretary General of the ANC. Yes. Have you forgotten, South Africans, that background and history?
Was that 1993 or 92?
Yeah, 92.
Yes.
92, 93.
I remember.
Yeah. And then, when did he emerge? Mistakes in history. It's us in 2012 when they said Magashule become
we were in your president. I remember I was there. We were in your president.
Become the deputy president. We said no, we are premiers. And Jacob Zuma said, please, nobody, no, not this person, but anybody else.
But maybe because
we did not listen.
I think it's so interesting because you're touching on that, and I remember I was there. We were in Free State.
Yeah, and we were in charge.
And that is the time when you were there. Was that the Premier League?
Premier League.
The Premier League. It was at the time of the Premier League, and it was at the time when I'm trying. The then Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe was contesting for the Deputy President, and you had that slate, and I think what happened? Maybe I think it's very interesting.
They said I must become the deputy president. I refused. Willem Kaiser refused,
and you had the numbers.
I was nominated
as the Premier League.
Even the national chairperson. I withdrew for Comrade Baleka to and Baleka was not contested, and then. That's where the historical blunder and mistakes.
But maybe I think
these are the fruits of what.
It's so interesting that you raised it. It's interesting that you raised it. How did you bring him in?
Jesus, we're 7 or 9. Nomvola, TD, Willem Kaiser, Supra Mayumapelu,
President Zuma.
No, Zuma was not there.
Was not part of it.
Zuma owned us.
Okay.
Then we sit around. We're at the State House where I was staying in the Free State.
Yeah.
We phoned Cyril. He says, "Are you sure?" Because he was
roaming around. We were roaming around. I was interested in that story, in what was happening at that time.
Then we said, "No, it's fine, comrades. The majority were outnumbered." You know this thing of respecting the majority. We were 9.
But maybe
some of us were saying no. After being advised, but we decided finally, and we went, and it was an easy go.
You know, I'm so interested in that because I remember at that time I was following that story very closely. And was it out of that Premier League not wanting Kgalema Motlanthe to become a deputy president? Were you threatened at the time?
No, remember that time. That's why I say the views of the majority of branches. Including the Eastern Cape then wanted me or Willem Kaiser. So we said no. So there wasn't Kgalema Motlanthe nominated by us. He was nominated in his own right, but we were going to be nominated. That conference was just a walkover completely, and the historical blunder started there. We can't blame anybody. And that demopedi, the late so yeah, that's
I get that, and I'm so sorry that I had to take you off the track from the question on the 30 years of democracy and where do you think whoever comes in as a ruling party or ruling coalition should go?
Make sure that you bring back the dignity of a black child, African in particular. Don't give a black person 350 rand. It's a disgrace. An old man of 50 years, of 40 years, depending on a 350. A graduate who went to study. You say this young man and woman must depend on 350. Where is the dignity of our people? So it's something you can't touch.
What you're saying, it's dignity of South Africans must be restored.
Yeah, it might take time, but we're almost there. So we have regressed. The gains of our revolution were reversed since 2020. I argued with the leadership.
I vaccinated. You encouraged us to vaccinate.
I argued with the leadership of the ANC that why don't you allow South Africans to use interferon? You must Google it. Interferon, which is used by the Cubans. You saw a lot of Cuban doctors here during COVID.
I remember.
Our soldiers were using interferon. And interferon boosts your immune. It's 10 drops. It boosts your immune for 5 years.
You know why I'm smiling?
32 years.
You know why I'm smiling?
In meetings, I argued. And I said, number 2, why don't you allow South Africans to have a choice to use even Sputnik and Chinese vaccine? I use a lot of tablets. These comrades will tell you, when they had COVID, I gave them Chinese tablets, which are not prescribed in South Africa.
But it's so interesting, and that is why I was smiling. When going back to the COVID, when we were encouraged to vaccinate, I think as the Secretary General of the ANC at the time, you actually encouraged us to go vaccinate. I want to remember the media briefing that was at Sheraton in Pretoria.
Not me.
But you encouraged us. It was in Pretoria at Sheraton Hotel.
No, I never had any media conference in Sheraton, except the BRICS summit.
I'm trying to remember the occasion.
Not me. As I say, I differed with the leadership of the ANC, the top 6.
Yes.
And I said to the president, I am in charge of this organization. I am in contact with the Cubans. I'm in contact with the Russians. I'm in contact. These are BRICS. It's a BRICS family, or part of it. And I say, why can't we use the medicine of Cuba? And I used it myself.
Yes, but that was the message that was also to vaccinate.
That was comrades deployed in government.
But through the office of the ANC, through the office of the Secretary General, communicated.
That's why I could not go and contradict the leadership and contradict the president.
But the ANC, under your leadership as a Secretary General, communicated that message that South Africans must go and vaccinate.
Not me. Not the ANC.
African National Congress.
Not the ANC. Deployees of the ANC in government.
But they were wearing an
and
ANC
they did not
brand.
themselves. Most of them did not actually vaccinate. You know, people who are vaccinated, they are in and out of hospitals. They have diseases they don't know. You have vaccinated?
I have vaccinated.
You must check, my brother. I'm not making you feel at ease, but you'll see that
we'll discuss that after the interview.
You don't know.
No, we'll discuss after the
never
interview.
Had. Yeah, my relative died, and I told them, hey, don't vaccinate. They took one jab, gone.
You should have coached me on the side.
I told them
not vaccinate.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be better.
A lot of comrades know. I've told them, don't do that, guys. And those who listen to me, I can tell you even about ministers I saved who were in hospital, and I could just find them not in the ICU, and we gave them the Chinese tablets, which are herbal tablets.
Can you share them with me?
You can tell me of somebody who has serious flu now. I give him these tablets in 2 days.
At least I've got contact now. I've got you. So
in 2 days,
I'm sorted.
The herbal Chinese, which were then recognized later, approved later when people are dead.
So let us look.
So these are some of the things I can't talk about publicly, but I think I must save South Africans.
You've said that, and the viewers of Progressive Independent Talk Radio TV are fortunate.
That's why mental consciousness, the mind is the most powerful thing.
So you have, on several occasions in this interview, mentioned the name of President or former President Jacob Zuma as one of the excellent leaders that this country and the continent has ever had. Are we seeing ACT being in any partnership or being dissolved, then members encouraged to join MK Party?
But it's not only me who says Zuma is the champion. The current president of the ANC, Comrade Ramaphosa, says, you must listen to all this. Zuma is in parliament. Zuma is the champion in Africa of infrastructure. infrastructure in this country happened in 2010 when Zuma started his presidency in 2009. You saw even our rural areas being paved and tarred. In the Free State that time, I tarred 26 townships. Almost every year, we're spending 500 million. So you can go to the township where I come from. When people say you have not done anything, I say, these roads were not there at all. You go to his township next to my township.
Was it because you wanted to at least travel comfortably?
I said, no, I must go to the townships and I stay in the township. Therefore, where I stay, let's pave the roads. And I started in Bloemfontein as the seat of government. And I went to my town, but I chose 26 townships. Arlington, I paved the entire Arlington. I paved the entire Cornelia. I paved the entire Twile, where there are 45 whites staying and 39. I don't know how many have died now or how many whites are there in those areas. I know every person in that corner. So when you say and look at the results there, you say we have lost the Free State, I say you are lying. Let's recount, open the ballot, because the results you give to the NC are our numbers. Because they want to deal with us. But let's do the recount. And we have objected to the IEC report. We don't know what they will say, but we show them in areas where we have 99% of supporters, the entire community. Then you come and say we have been voted by 5 people. It will be an embarrassment if those results can be recounted. And I'm happy that it's almost 9 parties now, which says tomorrow we must have a joint press conference and challenge if we have to do so legally. We are not spoilers. We want fairness and justice. Yeah. There is no way people of the Free State will give Act 16,000, 18,000 votes. That's not true at all.
So, back to my question. Are you saying soon we'll be having an invite or getting an invite from ACT to say you are joining the MK party as joining forces with MK party, or are you?
No, we have met several times with like-minded parties. We have met with EFF, we have met with MK, we have met with UDM, we have met with PAC, ASAPO. Those are conscious people about the struggle of a black man, a black child. We have met several times. And those are the parties which must actually champion the cause of the revolution. Transfer the economy into the hands of the majority. Yeah, give our people better life. Yeah.
So let us look at the African National Congress. See something like that happening? Is that something that we've had
something in the like that will be really will be something else. It means it will be about corridors of power. It's not about principles. What I stand for. It means if you do that, you are saying you people, because you should have told them that we are going to, when we vote us, we'll come and we'll merge with the ANC, which they reject. No, it's not principle.
So, where do you see the African National Congress come 1 June?
Come?
1 June, today.
The African National Congress in Soweto, where the Reverend comes from, where they get 67, they write 670. 67. Where they get 49 is 490. This is what Hope for South Africa says when they counted the stations. So it's not me, it's Hope South Africa, and they have lodged a complaint. Yeah. So you can see power by all means. Nancy Spani, Hela Spani, give people false hope. We employ you now. We employ you for 6 months.
I know.
In Bloemfontein today, there was load shedding.
Is load shedding back?
in Bloemfontein today, there was load shedding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We told people there,
you keep touching on this issue, and I'm tempted to go back. You tried to answer it, but I did not get the answer.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's something that has been happening, maybe in the ruling party and so on. The issue of election rigging. Are you able to say there has always been something like that, and how was it done?
my brother, some of the things, when you leave an organization, you don't become angry. And people say this one is mad.
Is that the yes
You
or no?
then talk about the secrets of an organization, even if you hate their leaders and what have you. That's not where I come from.
Is that part of
The way I
secrets?
was taught, I was in the military,
In the military.
in Kondo Sizwe. I was taught to keep secrets.
So is that
And a
part
lot
of
of
the secret of the
secrets,
ANC?
I'm staying with those secrets.
Is that
a
part
lot
the,
of them?
Is that part of
I
the
don't
secret
know
of
whether
the
it's
ANC?
but I can't give you a definite yes.
Dr.
or no.
Magashule, let me thank you so much for really agreeing to this interview, but we so look forward to more with you. Progressive Independent Talk Radio TV, it's more about empowering the citizens with information. So that is one thing that is more of our focus area.
I'll tell you one day the secret of me having my own water all the time. And you'll understand
is that
if
something?
I did not take my own water, by
would
now
it be?
I won't be here.
So is that something that you and
Yeah.
Comrade Didi Mabuza normally do?
Now, to me, I have my water.
Is that something that Didi
This
does?
is something which Jesus Water said to me. My brother, carry your water.
Thank you so
You'll
much.
survive.
That's why you refused my water.
No, yours I trust. Yeah, but the first thing, if I drink your water, I shake it, and I never tell you. I want to check whether it's not anything pissed here or
Thank you
then
so
I
much.
play with it. Yeah, but
Thank
in
you
most
so much.
cases, I don't drink anybody's water.
Thank you so
I
much.
trust my water.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
We are in politics. It's not a family or
It's not a family
friendship.
issue.